You can see I've got the statistical annual teed up to talk to you about, so we can talk about some of the reports they do. Here's the end of year data, market share, we'll talk about that, and then here's the monthly market share through May. So I've got a bunch of MIC data teed up, ready to go. MIC tells us statistically what happened. Polk Industries then goes behind and calls and interviews the people who bought the bikes to find out why'd you buy that bike, how's the experience, all that kind of stuff. So you got the data on the front end with the MIC and the story on the back end with Polk Data, right? So it really tells us what's happening in the industry. This is from Polk Data. Now I just want to read it to you a little bit. Walk-in traffic, somebody walking through the front door. Average closing rate in the country is between 8 and 10%. 8 to 10% of walk-in traffic. And I think it's hilarious to me when dealers tell me on their traffic log that they have a 20% closing ratio. No, you don't. You're just not logging everyone coming through the front door. You're only logging people coming into the motorcycle sales department. Because if you took the dude who's here for service, and the dude who's here for part, and the dude who's here for a shirt, you would have an 8 to 10% closing ratio, right? And here's what I love about salespeople. Salespeople look at the front door like it's gold. And then if you hire a new salesperson manager, you know, hey, Mr. Manager, don't hire a new salesperson because you're cutting into my paycheck, right? That's a very common thing that salespeople say because they think it's about how many people walk in the front door divided by how many salespeople we have, and you're missing the entire point of what selling is. Selling is about relationships and causing people to come back to your store because of you. It's not about reactively clerking who walks through the front door. That's not selling. Point being that reactively clerking the front door has an 8 to 10% closing ratio. Referral business has a 60% closing ratio. The question then is, Lorenzo, why would I refer you to someone else? What would cause me to want to refer you to someone else? If I had a good time with you, how you made me feel. That's a 60% closing ratio. Repeat business is a 64% closing ratio. Guess what causes repeat business? Relationships. Watching the front door and clerking who comes in is the quickest way to the smallest paycheck you can possibly imagine. Getting to know people, calling them back, and engaging in relationships with them is the quickest way to high gross profit margins and customers coming back to you over and over and over and over and over and over again. 78% of customer, and don't try to write these down, there are a bunch of them, but again, I'll put the form up for you guys, but just hear this. 78% of customers who go out and look at a new or used motorcycle buy one. 78%. People who are in your showroom floor, 78% of them are going to pull the trigger. 90% of the ones that buy do it within a week of stopping in the first dealer. That is a new piece of information. We used to say they went to 6 dealerships. 20 touches still applies. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it takes 20 touches to get someone to pull the trigger on a major unit. Boat, car, motorcycle. A major unit requires 20 touches. So touch 1, I saw an ad. Touch 2, I came in your store. Touch 3, I went on a test ride. At 20, and I'm about touch 17 on that Ronin on your floor, just so you guys know. You might want to stay in touch with me. At 20, we pull the trigger. We, the buying consumers out there, pull the trigger, right? What this is telling us, because we used to bounce between 6 dealerships, now we go to 1 dealership and buy within a week. That's telling us we're getting to touch 20 on our own, or we're at least getting to touch 13, 14, 15 on our own before we go into the dealership. And then when we get into the dealership, we're already at touch 15 or 16 and we buy within a week. Which means the urgency has to be there. Which means when you set your CRM, when you plug it in on the tickle file that says, hey, call this guy back in 2 weeks, you're too late. It's done. I pull the trigger in a week of the first dealership. This one cracks me up. 72% of people said they were just looking. 72% said they were just looking. Remember, they're interviewing the people who bought. These are confessions of people who bought, who said, I was just looking when I walked in the store. 78% of them bought in a week or less. 78% of the 72% bought in 1 week or less, even though they said they were just looking. So it begs the question, why did somebody tell you they're just looking? Because Because if that stereotypical, shady, smarmy, slick salesperson comes up to me, it's just easier to say I'm just looking. If somebody genuinely was interested in me and wanted to come talk to me, I'd buy from them all day long. But it's just easier to say I'm just looking because it shields me from those people. The people who talk about stuff as opposed to people who talk about me. Audio still working? We're good on that? Okay. Hey, Schoolie, where was that sign-in sheet? When you were looking at the name tents, let's send that thing around. I want to get that, I'll start it up in the front. If you guys would just find your name and right next to it on the column on the far right it says attended the meeting, just check the box. This goes back to Bill Archer, and then don't leave, okay? I checked the box. Maybe I should do that at the end of the day too, right? I don't know. 85% of people said the salesperson didn't establish common ground or show a genuine interest in the person. 85% of the ones that bought. I wonder how not showing an interest we are with the people who didn't buy. If 85% of the ones that did buy are claiming that the salesperson truly didn't show a genuine interest. 88% of people said the salesperson did a poor job presenting the motorcycle. This one's awesome. 86% of people said they bought a motorcycle different in color, a different model, or different in color, different equipment, or a completely different model than the one they wanted when they walked in the door. Do you know how influential you are? Sales is a transfer of enthusiasm. If you're jacked up about something, you'll get me jacked up about that something. Even if I wasn't jacked up about it when I walked in the door. I'm terribly guilty about that. What? You got something to say?
That CVO came in the last Harley Davidson. I don't know if you guys know what a CVO is for Harley Davidson. It's an extremely expensive bike. And
fully loaded bells and whistles, everything.
It has everything possible that HD can offer on a bike. And this guy at the dealership, he comes over and don't tell anybody, but I'm CVO king. Here's the whole cut. The CVO king. He is so pumped and excited about that bike, he sells the crap out of it. Because he's so in love with that bike. No other bike on the floor exists to him. So he just brings everybody, and that enthusiasm boils over, and they will drop 30 to 40K
easy
on that bike.
By the way, CVO is a model of any of the bikes. So Road King has a CVO model, Ultra has a CVO model, Street Glide has a CVO. It's their fully loaded version of whatever bike they're talking about. And here's a quiet guy. He was sitting in the back of the room the whole time, and he made that little comment like, I'm the CVO king. And when I started talking about CVOs, everybody looked over to him. And they're like, oh, yeah, he's the guy with CVOs, right? I mean, think about that. How many times I know you had a trophy, king or queen. I know somebody in your dealership was jacked up when the trophy got launched. Maybe not anymore, but somebody was really excited about that and could sell out the BMW all day long. Like, no, you don't want that one over there because of this over here, and it's got the triple motor, and it's got the whatever, right? Somebody, fill in the blank. The high pipes exhaust, right? Somebody likes that and then sells the customer coming in the door and how cool that is, even though the customer coming in the door is like, I don't know, and then they're jacked up about it because you're jacked up about it, because we're humans. And everything at the end of the day is just about energy. That's all we are. We're bundles of energy. And if you're vibrating at a faster level than I'm vibrating at, you have the ability to take my energy up, and I will be excited about what you're excited about. It's so easy when you realize it's easy. 90, this is a new stat. 95% of new vehicle buyers and 95% of pre-owned vehicle buyers use the internet to research their purchase. 95%. Now we knew that number was high. We had no idea it was at 95%. And right now, some of you are in the room, because we got millennials in the room, millennials born between 1980 and 2000, and you're sitting here thinking, of course you went to the frickin' internet. But let me show you the age of who's buying a motorcycle. Because whereas a millennial might jump on board and say, well, of course, everybody's buying one of those, let me just roll you down to, this is the 2015 statistical annual of all bikes sold and who's buying them. If there's one stat that freaked me out in this book that caused me to not sleep for many nights, this is it. The age of a motorcyclist, all brands, all major brands, okay? From 1990 to 2014, look at this median age and look from right to left. In 1990, the average age of a motorcyclist was 32 years old. Now look, 45, 47 years old. So when you start thinking The Gen Xer at 47 years old, 95% of people buying a motorcycle researched it on the internet. Not 95% of millennials, 95% of everybody, including all the baby boomers that bought motorcycles as well, went to the internet. That's an astounding number. Again, they're getting to 20 touches on their own before they ever walk in the door. So if I don't need you, look, I can go to Triumph's website and build my own bike. I can see exactly how it's going to look. I can learn every little piece of it. I can find out exactly how much it's going to cost. So that by the time, Kyle, I come to see you, guess what I'm shopping? Nope. You. I'm shopping you. I'm shopping how you make me feel and how the store makes me feel. I can shop for every other piece of the buying equation on the internet. I don't need to walk in your store for that. Think about how long e-commerce has been around now. We've had it. We've had internet shopping for a long time. How come freestanding stores still exist? Because there's no human connection, Mark. They want the experience. California what? Because you have to in a brick and mortar. That's two have-tos out of you today. Two have-tos. Because humans are looking for a person. They're looking for a person to buy from.